Good morning, folks. My name is Hamish McFarland. This is a New Horizons webinar working efficiently with Microsoft. And thanks for sharing the internet space with me this morning. Now, first thing I want to do is make sure that I am indeed being heard across the airwaves. So if you know where your green check or your thumbs up is with your Zoom reactions, go ahead. Give me a ping on that right now. So because we got a good crowd, I'm going to know very quick. There we go. Thank you. Oh, Jessica, thank you. Brandon, thank you. Brian, thank you. I reckon I've gone through loud and clear. You've got two ways to stay in touch with me and ask questions about our content during the next few minutes. One way, of course, is to use the Zoom reactions. If you like the look of something, or you want to give me a yes, green check, thumbs up, all the good things. If it's something you don't like the look of, if you want to give me a no, you can give me a red X as well. And to be honest, I accept all Zoom emoji currencies. So go ahead, keep those flowing today. You can also, of course, use the chat box. So I'm just going to make sure I've got that open for myself there. And yeah, I invite you to answer a very difficult question, which is how you feeling, cat or dog today? Team cat, team dog? I'm team cat, so I'm just putting that in the chat. If you have a preference, I like all animals, of course. Let me know in the chat. That's how we warm up the chat box for this morning. I got some cat friends. Okay, good. And I am not anti-dog, by the way, but just know there's 4 cats in this classroom. So you hear some meows, that's why. You shouldn't hear any. Team guinea pig, Matt, thank you. Well, all the animals, of course. Thank you for that. Nice one. Okay. Keep it coming, my friends. On to business. Okay, so there we go. So I'm Hamish, I'm Scottish. I'm beaming to you live from my charming basement here in Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, this class is brought to you by New Horizons, webinar brought to you by New Horizons. I'm a Microsoft Office specialist. I'm a certified virtual educator. So that's why I'm smirking and looking so smug, because turns out I know what I'm talking about for the next few minutes. So I'll be in good shape with that. What did we actually do? Oh yeah, Microsoft, efficiency, productivity. Well, the biggest thing I want for the next few minutes is to encourage you, and we can keep an open mind on this, but encourage you to let Microsoft do the heavy lifting for you. Do a lot of the work, free up your mind, free up your expertise for taking care of other things. I bet you've been finding ways to get things done using Microsoft software. I'm here to help you out with just some of the, I'm not going to say tricks or tips. I'm going to give you the smart way to get some of these things done. Some of them will be pretty simple. Some of them will be more sophisticated. And I want to look at a range of different tools here today, of course. So we've got Outlook and Word and PowerPoint and Excel. I want to give you a little sample of all of those things. And of course, you will know we have a team of instructors across New Horizons who are ready and waiting to deliver day-long classes in each of those Microsoft Office applications. So just a taster session, I suppose, of some of the things that we'd be getting into. Let's see, where shall we begin? I'm going to start with my favorite. Let's go with Excel. How about that? Okay. So first thing I want to do with this is to just take a look at kind of the top of the screen, and that's going to be true for every Microsoft Office application. So basically, you take a look at this with me this morning with Excel, you're going to get a head start by looking at what the top of that screen looks like with Access, Outlook, File Explorer, Word, PowerPoint, all, because they all pretty much run the same way, which is consistent and convenient. I think you'll agree. Okay, so there's my ribbon. Let me just make sure I'm showing it to you. I take nothing for granted when it comes to screen shares. There we go. Looks like that. Now I can't zoom in on the ribbon, but I just want to I'll get my pen out. How about that? I'm thinking pink today. That's okay with y'all. Okay, so here's my pink pen, right? There we go, like that. So at the top of the screen, like so, and again, true for Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, Word, File Explorer, it all has a ribbon. I'm going to write ribbon in the chat because this is a curious word sometimes in my transatlantic accent. Not the frog noise, but the ribbon in a girl's hair, for example, right? So the ribbon is at the top, and it has 3 parts, and that is going to matter as the basics for productivity for every one of these applications, because it's where you do most of your stuff, like that. So we can navigate with confidence around the ribbon in Microsoft. you know you're already off to the races when it comes to getting things done more quickly and making less mistakes as well. So let's see, at the top, so 3 parts, right? At the top, you've got the tabs, file, home, insert. I mean, for Excel, right? Page layout, formulas, stuff like that. So here's the tabs. And the tabs break up the software into different sections. So if I click on formulas, got a bunch of, you got a function library right there, but that's the second part to the ribbon. So tabs at the top, I get to formulas. Second part are the groups at the bottom. So in Excel, again, with the formulas tab, I can see function library. Oh, hang on, I got to get my pen back here. Function library, define names, formula auditing, calculation, stuff like that. So again, I've got my tabs at the top, I've got my groups at the bottom. So I can see there's a very faint gray line there. This is the function library group. This is the define names group, the formula auditing group, and so on. And we don't have to worry about any of that fun stuff today, but just recognize again that navigation like using a GPS system in your automobile, right? So of course thinking, well, first thing, second thing. I mean, the third part, I think I promised the 3 parts, the ribbon. Third part, of course, would be the commands like that. So again, if I was looking to do maybe the easiest thing in any of these applications, let's say I wanted to turn something bold. How about that? I would go to, well, the home tab in this case. So let's see if I can get there. Fingers crossed, right? Home tab. And then, oh, there's a font group. All right, so that's all the stuff about fonts. And there's the B for bold. And an additional productivity helper, I would say, is the fact that Microsoft tells you what I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on the ribbon right there. It's like, do we really know what all those things do? Don't have to right now, I'm happy to say, but Microsoft will give you a hint, what they call a screen tip, when you hover over those commands. So if there was something I wasn't so sure about, but before I click on it, before I press the big red button and break something, I'm going to hover over those commands. So for example, again, home tab, font group, and even before I click on that big uppercase B, I'm just hovering over it. And again, I know that's small on the shared screen, but Excel's saying, or Microsoft's saying, oh, yeah, that makes your text bold. Oh, and by the way, in parentheses, there's that keyboard shortcut as well. So Control and B. So have a look right now. If you're not sure where that control button is, for me, it's on either sort of bottom left, bottom right of the keyboard shortcut. So CTRL. If you're using a Mac, it would be a command shortcut. Not that I'm a big expert on Macs, by the way, but with Microsoft, a PC keyboard, that control button, it is going to be the hardest working button on the keyboard when you're working with Microsoft. And yeah, so okay, so there's the ribbon. So tabs at the top, groups at the bottom, commands in between. Anything you're wondering about in terms of the ribbon, in terms of shortcuts, in terms of screen tips, any of those things, let me know in the chat. Of course, I'm happy to address that stuff as we go through it. If you're looking for a giant list of keyboard shortcuts, I'll give you a link to that, but know that we're not here today to memorize 1,000 or 100 or even 10 keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to keep that contextual. So if we're working through something and I'm thinking, oh, keyboard shortcut, of course, I'll demonstrate that. And of course, something you might want to take a note of if it's something new for you and if it's something you think is going to be useful for you going forward as well. All right. So again, ribbon. And again, that I could have run that on PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, they all have the same structure. So again, tabs at the top. You keep me right on this today, right? Tabs at the top, groups at the bottom, commands in between. 1, 2, 3, like that. Cool. Okay. What shall we do next? Oh yeah, it's a list of keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to put a link into the chat, but also I'll put it on my screen as well, just so we can take a tour here. So of course, from the official Microsoft website, this is a pretty good place to get started. If you're interested in shortcuts, I find most people have a vague interest in such things. So because we want to work more efficiently and make less mistakes, right? That's definitely my game plan. So here's the link I put in the Zoom chat window, and you can see that it has various sections as well. So the ones I'd be interested in today, for example, when we're just taking a little introduction to some of those productivity features, efficiency features, I'd be scrolling down here and looking at copy, paste, and other. like that. So you can see there's a few to play with here, just one or two, right? But if I click on that little downward chevron, you can see we've got the, I mean, you could say some of the basics, but I'm pretty confident there's going to be someone, and unless you are just like, you know, world champion medal winning expert in Microsoft shortcuts, there's going to be a few on there that you didn't know about, like that. So that's an interesting tour. There's absolutely the most popular keyboard shortcuts, the greatest hits of keyboard shortcuts would be in that list. So again, I'm asked by a lot of our students here at New Horizons about what's the recommended list. It's this one. Like, so again, that link's in the Zoom chat for you. All righty. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to hang out on Excel for a little bit longer because I'd like to look at a couple of interesting features. Now, I know for a fact, because they told me here at HQ, they're going to send you a couple of things following the webinar because you signed up, right? You can't escape us now. They're going to send you a very useful like a worksheet or a reminder of some great things you can do with Microsoft. One of the things they're going to remind you about in that PDF that they send you is called Sparklines. And I would like to, am I saying that right? Sparklines, there we go. I want to take a look at that live with you right now. So let me go find an example of some Sparklines. And this is quite an advanced feature in Microsoft Excel. But I don't think a very difficult feature once you practice it a couple of times. And the reason I want to show this to you inside this webinar is it's a way to say, here's something where you can convey the trajectory of some data. It's like, how are things going? What's the headlines? Sparklines is a very great, I think, very user-friendly way of making that happen. And I better keep my promise now and actually show you, right? Instead of just talking about it. So let me find my example here. Actually, there it is. Okay, now I can actually zoom in and see this content. So this is an example of something, and we'd run an activity like this in our Excel. Let's see, Excel part 3, I think, class. So again, one of the more advanced classes, but this is not, I don't think something that you're going to see. This is not super complicated. Okay, so let me get into context here. What we have is a piece of data set with showing the Northeast states, of course. And you can see the first 3 months of these sales figures are in the data set. This is, in case you're wondering, it is a pivot table, but that's just by the by. You can also see some pink numbers. That's because in this example, they're using conditional formatting to show, I think, figures that are above average, something like that. And if we've got time today, we'll take a look ourselves at an example of conditional formatting because it's nifty. That is very good for efficiency. Okay, so what's missing here? You can see we've got the numbers, and you can imagine speaking to this in a meeting and saying, well, you can see in Connecticut, okay, well, we got our around 200,000, so that's pretty good. And then I went up to 300,000, and then I went back to 200,000. So the trajectory of that, the trend, effectively, if I might get my pink pen out, would be, up and then down, like that. And so not a hard thing to get our head around, but there's a few of them, right? So of course I've got Delaware, yes. So 177 down 100 and then up to 222. So we could ask people, we can ask our stakeholders, our customers, our boss, anyone you like, to say, you can take a look at those figures and you can see some go up and some go down. It's been a roller coaster the last 3 months. We could do that. And then we'd lose them because they'd be like, okay, hang on a second, and they'd be running through themselves. What we really need here is just the simplest. Look at column F. Column F's like, hey, could you just make this easy on our eyeballs, please? We want to make other people's jobs as easy as possible, especially if we're looking for them to approve something, agree something, do their job. Presumably their job is to solve a problem. I'm sure your job is to solve problems every day. Mine as well, just in case you're wondering. We're all paid to solve problems. Let's make their job easier. If their job is to understand our data, understand the journey, if their job is to understand our meaning, like that, but again, or be persuaded or to agree something, to reject something, whatever it is, I want to give them a graphical form of how these numbers are doing. And again, the easiest way, the most effective way of doing that in Microsoft Excel is going to be with a sparkline. So sparklines are going to go over here. So I'm just going to put my mouse in F6. Let's give it a click. Oh, there we go, like that. And then, of course, as I guide, if I demo this, I'm going to tell you, of course, about tabs, groups, commands, just like we looked at first time, right? So I go to the Insert tab on the ribbon. And then I'm going to go find my Sparklines. So I'm noticing this is where you add things like tables, pictures, and charts. So to the right of the center there is a Sparklines group. So we can Insert tab, Sparklines group, and I'm seeing three choices there: line, column, win-loss. Well, I'm thinking line is going to work for me because the one I demoed was like that pink line going up and down. So I'll click on line, like so. And Excel says, I got two questions for you. Notice the second one, location range, that's already done. It's got dollar signs in there, which is about absolute values. And you would learn all about absolute values, by the way, if you took that part 1 Excel class. And that's if you're not sure why there's dollar signs in there, I'm encouraging you, I'm inviting you to take a more substantive Excel class, because when you know about the dollar signs, my goodness, exponential growth in what you can do with this program. But it says $F$6 because I'm sitting there in F6, so it's already done. The one Excel isn't sure about is, what's the data range? Where does this Sparkline need to go? And in this case, it's for Connecticut, and I want it to run from January to March. So making sure I'm live inside that field, I'm just going to click and drag to make that happen from B6 to D6, like so. Then I'm going to click OK. And there's my Sparkline. Like that. I'm going to run that again because you can see there's nothing to it, right? So I'm just going to pretend I didn't do that. I can use Control-Z to, wait, of course you can use a great keyboard shortcut. Something you change your mind about or make a mistake, Control and Z. That is undo on the keyboard. That is, I always think of that as like the oops button. It's like, oh, changed my mind, made a mistake, I can go back. So of course I've done that right now. Going through this process just a second time. Again, I'm sitting on F6. I want a trend line for the 3 months, first 3 months for Connecticut. Insert tab, Sparklines group, clicking on line. Ask for the location range is done because we're sitting on F6. Data range, I'm clicking and dragging from B6, D6, clicking OK. And again, that's that Sparkline. Now, you will know, the Excel experts and Microsoft experts amongst us will know, well, surely I can do the rest of these super snappy quick because I can just double click. If I zoom in a bit more, you'll see that little tiny green square in the bottom right of F6. And you may be urging me on here to say, come on, let's get rolling here. Just double click on that green square. In this case, for Sparklines, no, won't do it. So no. Just take a note. And remember, folks, when you're using these Sparklines and you want to add it to the rest of your data, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is to click and drag it down. So I'm taking my white cross here with my cursor, my mouse pointer, and hovering over the green square until you see the change there. Changes from a white chunky cross to a black cross here. And normally I would double click, but I know it doesn't work in this case, so I'm just dragging it down like so. I'll even do the row 17 for the totals. You'll see my totals have like railway tracks in there. That's just because Microsoft's telling me not enough room in your cells. I'm going to go ahead and fix that because the numbers look kind of funny, right? There we go. And we can see it's given me a Sparkline for every single one of those, including the grand total. Now, the icing on the cake with our sales trends feature is, as long as I'm somewhere inside of here, I can use a contextual tab on the ribbon called Spark Tools Design. And I mean, there's not a lot you can play with here, but I can change the colors. I could change the style. So I'm here in Tennessee. I think I'll give it a nice orange. How about that? Like so. And again, you can, I mean, I could have fun with this for the next hour, but I promise I won't. But you can change the, the tops, the bottoms, give it a green or red, whatever you want to do. So if I zoom back out, again, imagine the difference there. If we're in a presentation and discussion, you can say, folks in column F, you can see the general line of trajectory there in terms of how these sales trends are going. Much easier to convey meaning. You're going to get a lot less questions from people about how things are going because it's right there on the screen, like that. Friends, if you already use Sparklines, or if you think that might be something for the work that you do, give me a green check or a thumbs up. If you have any questions about Sparklines, you should ask. I might know the answer. Moving on, though. I'm going to put that away. I'll give it a save. How about that? Following best practice at all times. There we go. I close that one down. Okay. Next. I mentioned conditional formatting. Oh, good to see a thumb and good to see a couple of checks as well. Thank you for those. I appreciate it. Conditional formatting. Now, I'm going to look at that in terms of Outlook, for example, because we could use conditional formatting in Excel. You saw some with those pinky numbers on the worksheet. But we can use conditional formatting, and it sounds fancy. It's like conditional formatting. It just means not just general formatting. It means formatting based on a certain parameter. It's like formatting in a certain situation. And my favorite use of conditional formatting is something that everyone around me at New Horizons knows how to do. And I mean, the Microsoft trainers, sure. But anyone, you meet someone at reception, they'll know how to do this. You meet your account executive, they will know how to do this, right? Because it is such a useful feature. So I'm going to trust you with the contents of my Outlook inbox. Okay, make sure there's nothing incriminating in there. Let me see, I'll put it on the screen for us. There we go. 1 second. Oh, calendar, go. All right, there's an extended looking email right there. Passport visa notification. All right, so while I'm in class, of course, while I'm delivering this webinar, I'll get emails and notifications, things like that. Hopefully they don't make a noise, right? I'll turn that down. But what I'm recognizing is, and what is true for any class that I deliver for New Horizons, I can't just check my email. When those emails come, it's like, oh, hang on, there's an email. I better check that out. Can't do that, of course not. So instead, and that means if I'm checking my emails, and depending on your own protocols there, if you're required to check your emails as soon as they come in, that's a different job. But if you're maybe check them in like in the morning or lunchtime in the afternoon, you could come back to 30 or 40 emails, and you could be thinking, well, what's the best way to make sure that I don't lose track of certain things? Because that's between me and you. Some emails and some people are going to be more important than others, like that. So for example, maybe I don't want to miss an email from my boss, right? So maybe at the end of the day, I'm taking a quick scroll down that list and thinking, just checking certain things are, I have, there's 3 kids in the house, there's the 4 cats, there's the 1 wife, there's some things I need to take care of and be present for when I leave my basement, when I leave my office. So when I take a look at those emails, if there's something that can wait till the morning, it's going to wait till the morning, frankly. I'm not going to worry too much about it. But if there's something more significant, if there's something from a key stakeholder, I don't want them to think I've forgotten about them. So one thing I'd like to do here and to demonstrate for you is to find someone who's a key stakeholder of mine. And that would be, let's see, there's some emails from Jay there. Jay is our vice president, one of our vice presidents here in New Horizons. I don't want to ignore those emails. I want to make sure, even if I'm just saying, got it, I'm on it, just to get back to him. So I want to turn Jay's emails green in my inbox, and I want to make them super obvious so that when I come back to my inbox after a period of time, if there's something from Jay, I'm not going to miss it, not going to forget it. So again, thinking ahead for applying this to the own work that you do in terms of efficiency and productivity, this is about making sure for key things, and it might not be a certain person. It might be you're waiting for some email with something in the text coming through. It's a way to highlight this, either just for one day or for half a day or for an ongoing process, to make sure that we're again not losing sight of things that are really significant, that would, I don't want to lose time by missing something and then someone chases me up, and I don't want that to hurt my stellar reputation here, of course. So let's see. Again, I'm going to guide you through the process, and I'm happy to answer questions about it. I know the ribbon is small at the top of the screen, but I'm gonna say the words. So again, measure of success here, reputation on the line, of course, is that my emails from Jay will be chunky and green in the inbox, and therefore figuring even an old man like me can't miss them, right? So I would go to the View tab on the ribbon, right? Tab at the top. So I click on View, and then the good stuff is on the left-hand side here. I'm going to Current View Group. So View tab, Current View Group. I click on View Settings. Bunch of stuff here. We're not going to look at all these things today, of course, but if you're interested in changing the way that you operate and navigate through Outlook to get the best out of your efficiency and productivity, we run a part 1 and a part 2 Outlook class here at New Horizons. So I'm looking at these and thinking, oh, There it is. You probably saw that 5 minutes ago and said, Hamish, get on with it. Conditional formatting. I click on conditional formatting, and here's the news. None of that is special for me. Those are generic conditional formatting rules that you have, unless you got rid of them, in your own inbox right now. So I look at that email, sort of kind of blew it in the top of my list. It's because it's unread, right? So any email you've got that's in bold, you can mark it as unread. If you haven't read it yet, of course, it's going to be in bold as well, bold and blue, unless you do something different. So that's conditional formatting. Outlook understands, oh, the emails come in, they haven't done it yet. We're going to keep it bold again, so we can keep an eye on it. So that's fresh out of the box. Those features are there, but you can also add your own one, which is what I'm about to do here now. So I'm going to go here to the top right of that box, and I'm going to click on add. I've got a new rule. The rule is called untitled, which is not a good name. So I'm going to be crystal clear what this rule is. I'll call it, let's see, emails from Jay, like that. And again, it could be from a certain person. It could be something that contains a phrase or a keyword that you've been looking out for, stuff like that, depending, of course, on the work that we do. So I've added a name, and that name is just for my reference. It doesn't mean anything to Microsoft. Two things I need to take care of here. One is, what's the formatting where it says font? And then two, what's the condition? When are you, otherwise everything is going to turn big and green, right? Like the Incredible Sulk, I suppose. So I'm going to click on font, and I'm going to do too much with this so it actually shows up, right? Let's see. So a silly font would be Sugar Gothic. That's perfect. Font style bold oblique. Again, in real life, I think you wouldn't be quite as blunt about this, but I'm going for it. There's a size choice. I'm going to go for the biggest one, which is bigger. And then, of course, I'm going to change the color, which is going to be the biggest help, I think. So color, it says black. I'm going to click on the drop down, and there's a green, like so. So I can see from the sample, it's going to be pretty transparent that these are specific emails. I click OK in the top right. And oh, almost forgot my condition, didn't I? So there's the formatting. I need to make sure Outlook understands exactly when I want this to happen. So I click on condition in the bottom left. And I'm going to say from. So notice again, you could choose words in the subject field and the body. This is, or maybe these emails you're just getting copied into, or they're being sent to a certain person. You can, the world is your oyster with this one, of course. Now I want it from a certain person, so I'm going to click on from. Let me go ahead and find J in my list. There's always a few J's. There's one J. There we go. I'm double click on it. Now it's from. I click OK. And now Microsoft is saying, OK. Oh, I click OK here as well. Like that. Now I know it's called emails from Jay. When under those parameters, any email is going to go, well, as we'll see in a moment, super green. So I'll click OK. OK. And there. Overdue emails, oops, are red, still red here, but you can see super chunky like that. There's a couple that I'll be making sure I don't lose sight of course. And so yeah, any questions, comments, concerns? Hopefully not too many concerns about it. Anything you want to ask about or want to see again, or anything you're wondering again in terms of applying this to the work that you do, let me know in the Zoom chat. I'm happy to address that. If that's something that is going to help you out, let me know the good news. Green check, thumbs up. Always happy. Or just throw me one of those pizza Zoom reactions, because I get a little peckish at this time of day, to be honest. All right. That's enough of me showing you my Outlook, I think. There we go. Oh, Mary, good question. Okay, so just back there for a second. And I'm going to turn that out. I'm going to turn that one off, by the way. So view tab, current view settings. So it was conditional formatting, right? Now I can still make changes to it. So emails from Jay. So, and I'm thinking, so it was about the font, right? So when I clicked on font, Outlook gave me the choice. What is the font, right? What is the font style? What is the size? And there's color down there. So of course I could have, fine, I'll change it to, lime. That sounds delicious. Okay, so I'll click OK. Please, thank you. Okay. Right, so again, the font size for those ones for the heading, and this isn't changing JC emails or anyone else's. It's purely the way it looks, of course, on our screen, like that. So these ones are still, the same size. You may have got different results though, Lisa. I appreciate that, but I'm kind of liking the lime. I got to tell you, once you've done that and you've had enough of it, by the way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the big red ones, Shelley, yes, it's because they're flagged for action. So you can see ones that are, thank you. The ones that are not flagged, they're lime green, like so. Yeah. To turn that off, I would, because I don't really want that on my screen for real. View tab, current view, view settings, and current additional formatting. I would go down the one I made, which is emails from Jay, and I would simply delete it. So I click on delete, click OK, and whew, back to normal. Because that was a bit of an eyesore as far as I'm concerned. So of course I wouldn't do that, be that crazy with my formatting, but just to show you on the screen. That's but nice questions in the chat, by the way. Well played, thank you. Okay, a little bit of Excel, a little bit of Outlook. I'm thinking PowerPoint. Why not? Let's see. A couple of things I was interested here, thinking about delivering this webinar for y'all. One is quite advanced. Lola, I'm sorry, but like next time. Looking at this, by the way, when you go to like the Microsoft website, there's a website for Excel, for PowerPoint, for Word, all these things. That'll give you some pretty solid guide. There's nothing like having a live person, of course, to speak to about these things. And a day-long class, by the way, you can immerse in that class with a bit of practice as the go-to person when it comes to that particular Microsoft application. Because if you've been getting by all these years, or the people around you have just been finding ways to make things happen in these programs, that's fantastic. Me too, before I joined New Horizons. But once you take one of these classes, that no one's ever come away from a class like that saying, well, I knew all that already. It doesn't happen because we didn't have time to learn all these things. That's why you get a trainer or an instructor to guide you through the process. You can imagine Bill Gates looking down from his ivory tower and going, yeah, that's the right way to do it. That's what he would say. I think that's what he would say. All right, PowerPoint. So a couple of things. One pretty, both useful, but one I think quite small and simple. The other one a little bit more significant. But again, all of these things, I'm glad I know them. All of these things are speeding me up in terms of my productivity, efficiency, and again, not missing things, and just getting some of these things done more quickly. So again, PowerPoint, right? Let's see. First of all, let's go for the little thing, I think. Okay. There we go. For example, okay. So I've got a slide here, and let's make, there we go, showing up. And you can see it is an utterly charming, either a sunrise or a sunset, who knows. And there's just a couple of things, imagine this is part of a project development presentation, and it's like a brand new day for the product, or maybe a sunset for the product. Maybe we're just discontinuing it, but I'm looking at that sunset, and maybe we're around the team, a little bit of collaboration with our co-workers, and thinking, well, we like it, but these fronds at the top, not what we're looking for. So we'd kind of like to chop it off. I want to, if I get my pink pen out, I want to take this part, and that's the image, like so. So back in the olden days, the dark olden days of life on computers, we would have to go into a separate editing program and do the cropping, and then bring it back into Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm happy to say these days that kind of feature is available right here within the program. Microsoft does not want you to leave and use other programs. The business case is make sure you have all these features here, but it also means you're spending less money on other programs, and it means you're spending less time rooting around trying to find other things. Because if we want to crop this image, if we want to remove a background, we want to make some really pretty sophisticated image changes in PowerPoint or in Word even, you can go ahead and do it within the program. So let's prove that point right now. Again, what I would like to do is just basically chop off the top, because I don't think that's adding much value right there. So anytime I want to make an adjustment to an image inside this program, again, don't have to go to another program. Do this within Microsoft PowerPoint. I select the picture by clicking on Set Picture. As soon as I do that, guess what? At the ribbon at the top, just like we saw with Excel, you get contextual tabs, and this one's called Picture Tools Format. I click on Format, and I can see a bunch of stuff I can do. In the center, we have picture styles. But what I'm interested in here is the crop feature. So Picture Tools Format tab. On the right-hand side of the ribbon, there is the size group and there's crop right there. So I'm going to click on, there's a crop icon, click. When I do that, notice there's like black handles around the image. And so that means I can click and drag any of these and then click on crop again. I mean, it's like, it's like cutting a bit of a picture with a pair of scissors effectively, right? So I'm going to drag down the top one. See how the mouse pointer changes? I've got the the arrow, and then 4 arrows pointing, and then it just flattens out there. So I'm click and drag like so, and it's very easy to know what you're doing, because if I stop there, actually there, that shaded area is about to get chopped off like that. So I'm left with what I think that's a pretty balanced image. I'm going to go with that one. So of course, how do we actually slice it off? Pardon, seeing you're a medical professional, right? I'm going to use the crop feature again. So where was that? That was Picture Tools Format tab, size group, clicking on the crop command, and there it is. Now, of course, that's left it down the bottom. I might want to, drag it up, or I might want to resize it. You can do whatever you wish with these things. And again, you'd get the full tour of that kind of feature in that PowerPoint Part 1 class that we run here at New Horizons. But I'm not here to tell you all the things today, of course. Thank goodness, right? But I'm going to leave that there for now. The second thing in terms of images in PowerPoint, and again, a feature that I'm just delighted to know about, frankly, would be getting rid of the background in an image. And I've deliberately chosen something that I think looks a little challenging because I want to see if Microsoft can handle it, right? It's like in the olden days when someone is selling vacuum cleaners door to door and they're trying to find someone to wow you with, right? Back in the day. I'm aging myself, though, I think. Okay, click on, let's see, slide number 3. There's that microphone. Hang on. If I can get there. There, like that. So, oops, no, hang on. So I've got a microphone image, and I like the look of it. Hey, come on now. Come on, Hamish, get your head in the game. This one here, right? I like the look of it, but I was kind of wondering how it looks without, because I've just borrowed this image. I went to, you can go, let's see, I went to, insert, find my mouse here. That, and you can see there's a choice for pictures, online pictures. So of course, if there's something from your machine or from your files, you can use that one. But I can go to online pictures. And then I'm sure I searched for a microphone, for example. It says Bing, of course, that's the search engine for Microsoft, but you can also search for your shared drives and things like that. So let's say I did that already. If I click on this image and go back to that same contextual tab as before, which was Picture Tools Format, right? Then I can see again, I don't want to crop it this time. Remember that was on the right-hand side. This time I want to, remove the background. And again, it's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. So on the far left of the ribbon now, with that contextual tab, I'm seeing an adjust group, and there's the fun you can have with this thing. We won't, but we could spend all day making very, very classy, very cool, powerful changes to our images using PowerPoint. I love these features, but got to keep the mission in mind here. There's remove background. And I give it a click, and notice what that does eventually. My laptop catches up. There we go. It gives me a bunch of purple. And that purple is Microsoft's way of saying, oh, that's the stuff we're going to chop off. That's the stuff we're going to get rid of. So you have a clear, transparent image, which is often what we're looking for. You grab an image with copyright and all those good things, but want to get rid of the background. So you can move it around, and you can put things behind it as well. Give it a bit of focus. So at the moment, I can see that there's some work to be done, because the microphone looks pretty good, but then I can see that there's purple here, there's purple here. Well, one thing I can do is to help Microsoft understand what I'm trying to do. And that you can see there's a border here. I'm going to extend the size of that because I don't want to lose the cable. I don't want to lose that part of the stand or whatever it is. So I'm just going to extend the size of the rectangle. There we go. And also pull it down as well, just so Microsoft understands that I don't want to loot there and there. That's helped. So where the image there. Now I can still see some pink. and I can see that weird what's going on there with my white dots. So notice there's a brand new part of the ribbon there at the top left, background removal tab. And so if there's something I see that I still want to get rid of or keep, I've got those choices. So the plus with the green background is to keep, the no entry sign, I suppose, is the areas to remove, like so. So I'm going to click on the red circle with the white dash, and then come down here. If I can get there. You see, I've got a pencil with my icon this time. Click on these things. I definitely want that. There we go. Just one click did it. Other click. Not so good, that one. There we go. Maybe these white circles. Oh, no, it's come back. So that's a very strange file moment I'm having there. Okay. Oh, there we go. So that took some clicks. I'll be honest with you. Normally, with a file you've got, but it's the work you're doing, it probably won't be quite that messy. That was just me having fun with that in the moment, in a live moment, I think. But again, what I'm looking at here is what's going to go away. Now, I'm not an expert in this image. I don't know if that like purple thing there is a gap or dot. I'm going to I think I want to keep that part. So I'm going to click on the green one this time and say, no, don't get rid of it. There we go. And I'm also doing some pink shading here. I don't want to get rid of that either. So you can see there. Oh, it was because there was a reflection in the image. I got you. So I'm doing my best here without trying to make this an hour-long experience, of course. There, well, that's better. Oh, and a bit down there. Well, now you can see I'm quite fussy about these things, but I think that's going to do it for now. Again, with the real work, of course, you might have more attention to detail than I do. So what I'm noticing is, again, another thing is pink. It's going away. The existing image is going to stay. If once I'm happy with it, I click on the giant green check up there, which says keep changes. There we go. And their background's gone away. So, and now I'm going to drag this thing around. Once you've done this, then you can see the benefit there. You can really be quite flexible with how this thing's going to show up. Not the most interesting image, I know that, but I think I'll just pop that down there, suggesting we're about to make some big announcement or something. So a big time saver for me, not in terms of I could do this in other programs, but the fact that I can use that kind of feature or the cropping feature inside Microsoft. And again, things like this, not just PowerPoint, you could also be doing this in Microsoft Word as well. So when it comes to adding images to either a publication, a Word document, or a PowerPoint presentation, don't feel like that you're kind of constrained or tied to images once they're in your file, because you can make changes to them inside the software, which is nifty. If the cropping feature or the background removal feature in PowerPoint, if those whet your appetite, give me a green check or a thumbs up. Any questions about those features, let me know that too. I'm going to, again, let's give it a little save like that. Oh, Lola, fascinating question. I hadn't thought about that. So Lola asked, can we add a background to an image? I don't believe we can. No. Now I can undo the thing I did. If so I could Control Z and say, oops, I didn't mean to do that, and bring it back. I suppose what I'd want to do is, if we're thinking about making it happen, if I have a background of some kind, then of course I could add that to the. I don't have one to hand. I must, I could put that here, and then of course I can simply just drag this transparent image now over here, and that would effectively do it. So if I have an existing background, then yes, absolutely. But that's just moving images and putting them on top of each other, I suppose, inside PowerPoint. So we would get there in the end, I think, definitely. Thank you for asking that. It's I never thought about that. Great question. Gosh, you guys. Okay, checking my timing here. Word. Oh yeah. Okay. Now what's my plan for Word? Let's see. Oh, something pretty simple, but again, when I look at this, I think I did not know how to do this until someone showed me, and the person who showed me, of course, worked for me at New Horizons. So I wish I'd known this 20 years ago, and I didn't. So I used to work a lot of publications, lists, all kinds of things, and the numbering was always going wrong, and I'd have to manually make that change. And now I wish, and I could have had hours of my life back if I'd known this very simple feature in Microsoft Word. So let's imagine I'm going to open up a Word document for you all here. Thinking about it. There we go. All right, here, I'll put it on the shared screen even so you can see it. for bonus points, right? I'll zoom in. There we go. Okay, so let's say we've been tasked with basically fixing this document. Someone else has been working on it. You will notice there's a deliberate mistake, right? It's like, oh, well, onboard checklist. Number one, do this. Number one, oh no, right? So they tried to, it's the numbering is going to kind of funny, and then there's a whole separate list, and ironically, this one is actually numbered in number two. Well, no, so it should be 1, 2, and then back to 1, like that. And again, I've gone through the fun and the pain of this, like backspacing and adding the number manually, and then of course the software just gets super confused. So we're going to let Microsoft Word fix this for us, like that. So for example, if you always focus on, where is the problem in Microsoft, and see if you can click on it or right click on it. That right click menu, like keyboard shortcuts are fantastic. The right click menu in Microsoft across the board of applications, bunch of stuff you can do right there. So let's prove the point right now. So this first one is fine. It's the second one that is that needs a correction, right? So I'm going to click on it. I notice that it is automatic. I'm going to right click on that second number 1, like so, and I can see those contextual choices about numbering inside that right click menu. So it says, do I want to continue numbering? I want to continue. I want a 1 then a 2. So all I'm doing is click, there it's fixed. Now this one's even worse now, of course, down here, but we're going to fix that one as well. No stone left unturned, right? So I've got my 1 and then my 2. And again, if I undo it, pretend I hadn't done it, but all I did is, well, that number 1's wrong. Click, right click, continue numbering, job's done. Now, I could have used the ribbon for that, could have done a bunch of highfalutin things to show this off, but I'm saying, what's the quickest way to get this done? Because that's if you were reversing this, that I'd want you to tell me the simplest, quickest way to get it done, because we're here for efficiency today, of course, not for fireworks, right? Okay, so the other one, I mean, this could be fine, but in this situation, I'm saying, I don't want this to be number 3. I want to basically restart the numbering again, have a number 1 right here. So again, I think you're several steps ahead of me. I would want to play a chess right now, because I think it'd be checkmate, wouldn't it? Again, I'm going to click on the 3, right click on the 3, and this time notice my choice there, because Microsoft, it understands it. It knows what a list is. It knows what numbers are. Not very good English, but it knows how to work these things. Restart at 1. I'll go through that again. So I'm going to right click on the 3. It says restart at 1, and the job done. So no need to mess around with, delete, backspace, return, enter, whatever it is, let Microsoft run these things for you. Like so. Questions? I can't think of a question about renumbering, but anything you're wondering about there, let me know. And again, a good feature. Should have known about that one a few years ago, I'll tell you what. Cool. Okay. Staying on here for a second, I want to show you a couple of things that again are interesting to me as if you're writing, if you're doing research, if you're putting letters together or reports together. There's a couple of features ever since the 2016 suite of Microsoft applications came out. They have made it easier to find help with these programs, but also easier to look stuff up. And again, that's Microsoft is very, very smart business people saying, we want you to stay in this program. So again, I gave you that example of like editing a bit of an image. It's like they're saying, no, stay inside the software. We can fix those things for you. The same thing in terms of doing a background check or a bit of research or a web search. You can do that inside the program because Microsoft says we have all that. Don't have to use the other guys effectively, right? So for example, again, help with a software program used to be pretty tough, because if you didn't know what you were looking for, how do you look it up, right? It's like looking like a word up in the dictionary. Well, if I could spell it, I wouldn't have to look it up, right? And things like that. So two very quick things. One is that very charming and whimsical light bulb on my ribbon. So I mentioned the tabs, right? Tabs, groups, commands, but there's a light bulb right here for the 2016 and beyond. And it says, tell me what you want to do, like that. So I'm thinking, well, I don't want numbers and letters. I want bullets, for example, but I've forgotten where the bullets are, but my bullet points. So I could Yeah, tell me what you want to do. Well, I'll type in there. So I'll say you want insert bullets. Okay, insert bullet. There we go. And immediately it gives me a range of options. Now I know that's small on the screen, so let me take you through it. The first thing, it takes me directly to a shortcut for the command for the bullets, right? Straight, boom, like that, bullet library. But in addition to that, it also gives me, you know, it's like saying, well, maybe that's where you wanted, or maybe it's something close to that. Okay, it's you know, leaving no stone unturned again. So I might go back in here again. Like that. What I'm noticing is get help and smart lookup, like that. Now, they are not the same thing. Get help is, as you can imagine, I'm just not sure how to do this thing. Take me straight to that part of the help and give me the full story. The second thing, well, let me give you a different example, because I'm looking for maybe a more interesting smart lookup. Let's say where I'm going to go down here. Well, let's say I've got a new item, and it's on let's see, something about chess. Okay, because that's something I'm interested in. All right. So let's say I've put that word throughout the document, and maybe I'm looking for an image that conveys chess, as in the game, right? Or maybe I'm looking for a spell check, or I'm looking for, well, how many times have I actually used the word chess? Are there other words I could use? Whatever's going on, right? Again, maybe not the best example, but there's the one that came to mind in the moment. So that's a smart lookup, right? Again, I'm not going to put that word and put it in someone else's search engine, because I got the search engine inside Microsoft Word in terms of spelling, pronunciation, graphics, synonyms. I have all those things available to me right here, and easy to do, because I'm going to take that word, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose smart lookup, like that. So again, I think I just have to do that, don't I? Yeah. So I'll select that word as chess, right click. There's my smart lookup. So again, it will be in the right click menu of your mouse. So I'm clicking on smart lookup, and sometimes it gives you a bunch of stuff, sometimes it doesn't. Let me just see what I get this time. Okay, so it has given me, I mean, if you want to look up the meaning of the word, define is right there, right? But I wasn't defining it. I was, and there's, you know, again, it can pronounce the word for me if I needed some help with my American English, which I often do. But there's the noun, there's the origin, which is fascinating. But I was exploring. So you can define it, but you can also search it as well. And you can see it's gone. Sometimes it goes to Wikipedia. In fact, there it is, right there. And of course, also gives you images, and it goes on and on like that. So that's the smart lookup. Now, I'm hungry, to be honest. So maybe I was looking for maybe chess pie. Again, here I am in the South. I like a little chess pie. So again, imagine right click, smart lookup. The different kind of search. Oh yes, just imagine. Wouldn't that be great from the farmer's market? So we have chess pie for lunch. I could have dessert for lunch every day. That's pretty good. Looks like that. Questions about smart lookup, or tell me what you want to do, or using help with Microsoft, let me know. But again, in terms of efficiency, these features are a way for us to say, I can stay inside the program. Sharon, great question. Yeah, from 2016 and beyond, like that. Well played. It's nice to have a question I can answer like that, right? That was amazing. More questions like that. Wonderful. And of course, if you're using a later version, 2019, 2021, 365, you'll see even more functionality here. But I was thinking, if you have at least 2016 in terms of Microsoft Office applications, then you're in pretty good shape. I would say one like that. All right. I'm using 2016 today, by the way, with my demo. All right, I'm going to put that away. Like so. Look through my list. Yeah, we covered everything. So I want to say thank you. Thank you, Phil, for indulging me as we took a tour through efficiency features with Excel, with Outlook, with PowerPoint and Word. Thank you for sharing the space with me today. Thank you for your questions. Thanks for Zoom reactions, all those good things. I appreciate that. Thank you for indulging me. And cats were very well behaved, I thought, and also the dogs. And that guinea pig was amazing today. So thank you for that. Hope to see you again sometime at New Horizons. If you have any last questions for me, let me know. When you leave the Zoom room, know that New Horizons will be in touch with you, including that promised PDF they're going to give you with a couple of bonus tips, including how to take care of spark lines in Excel, by the way. So I say thank you. Have a good rest of your day. If there's anything left for you to ask me, go ahead and ask the question. I will be hanging out right here. Thank you. Thank you.